My dear students, welcome to the session. My name is Juhi Narula, and today we are going to talk about facts, inference, and judgment. Very interesting concept, and we will keep the theory part to be very limited, and our focus would be to solve a lot of questions so that you can see how the concept is practically implemented, right? So let's get started. Now, before we commence to solve the questions, let's first try and understand that what do we mean by these three terms: facts, inference, and judgment, right? So, my dear students, when we talk about facts, fact is basically a piece of information or a statement that people are aware of and can be verified and discovered, identified, and that stands true always. Like if I say the color of leaf is green, you will also agree, your friend would agree, your parent would agree, your teacher would agree, my friend would agree, my parent would agree. So everybody in the world is going to agree that the color of leaf is green, right? Or if I say Edison invented bulb, everybody would agree. So something which can be verified and will be agreed unanimously, something which is non-debatable, right? So if I say this watch that I have, this is of blue color, right? So the strap is blue, dark blue, whatever you call. Now everybody is going to agree. Or if I say I'm holding a watch, this is what? A fact. So nobody can dispute that, nobody can negate that. So that's what we mean by fact. Simple concept, something which is heard, which people know, which people are aware about, and which can be verified is a fact. I'm sure we are sorted with this understanding. Now we come to inference. What is an inference? Inference is a logical conclusion that you draw on the basis of certain facts that are provided, right? So it is something that there are facts. Okay, so if I say like if I make a simple example for you, if I say I have this information that A is greater than B and B is greater than C. So on the basis of this, so these are this is some information or known facts, and on the basis of this I can definitely conclude that or infer that A is greater than C. So this is what? This is an inference. So inference is the conclusion, something that you are deducing out of the facts that are provided to you. Okay. Come to the third point, which is judgment. So judgment is an opinion which is very personal. So if I say I say that this girl is beautiful, you might say, ma'am, I don't find her beautiful, but then that's fine. That's my personal opinion and your personal opinion, right? Or if I say I love pizza and you say I don't love pizza, or vice versa, that's an opinion, right? So that can be approval or disapproval based on person to person situation, or depending on the objects, occurrences, encounter in the past, present, or future, right? So we have talked about three terms. And what are those three terms? Facts, universal truths, something which has to be always considered true, which is not debatable. Inference is a conclusion that you draw on the basis of the facts, and judgment is your personal opinion, which can be an approval, disapproval, depending on the circumstances, situation, tastes, right? So now what are we going to do? We are going to solve some questions, right? So there are four statements, and what you need to do is you need to identify that what is the role of each statement, right? So you have the options with you. So F in the options represent the facts, I in the option says inference, and J in the option says judgment. So I'll just write it also for your convenience. So F, like we have discussed, is the fact. I, as we have discussed, is the inference, and J is the judgment. So what you need to do is you need to see that what is the role of each statement, right? So I'll give you a minute, walk through the statements and identify, and then we are going to mutually discuss that which option holds true. So if you are not able to understand how the options work, let me tell you. This says that the first option, that means the first statement is a fact, second is an inference, third is a fact, fourth is an inference. B says the first two statements are judgments, last two statements are facts. So this is how you're going to read the options. Pretty simple, right? So take exactly a minute and start solving this question. Try this question. I know we have not done anything together. I'm straight away starting with the question, but at least work through the statement so you are aware what the information is holding. Then discussion will become easy, right? Be very focused, don't lose your concentration, and if possible use scratch paper work and read the sentence intensely carefully. So I'm sure you have read the statement, so let's start with the discussion. A study about bees. So, what is a study? A study is something that happens after a lot of research, right? So, this output has to be true, right? I'm sure you're able to gather this is nobody's opinion, right? So, if the study says that atom has got neutron, electron, and proton, so this is not my opinion, definitely, right? So, then that means we can straight away discard with B choice. This is a simple way to, eliminate. I always believe that elimination is the key, and I'm sure you've seen so many videos by now, and you must have realized that how I put a lot of focus on eliminating the incorrect answer choices. I always feel that if you're in an exam, you should kill as many enemies as possible. It's always wise to have one or two opponents rather than four opponents if you're dealing with the question. So straight away, the moment I see the study, I'm able to gather that that study is not, of course, anybody's opinion or an approval or disapproval. This has to be considered true because this is something which has been done after research, right? Something of scientific temperament. So let's read. A study about bees reported the queens go off with about two-thirds of the worker bees to live in a new home, leaving a daughter queen in the nest with the remaining worker bees. Wow, interesting, isn't it? Among the bees that depart, that means that go, are scouts that search for the new nest site and report back using a waggle dance to advertise suitable locations. So there's a trend that's happening. So it's basically what? It's something that is an observation. So this is a good statement to act as a fact because this is a result of a study, right? Something which will always be true because nobody can doubt that. So this cannot be an inference, so that helps us discard C also. So C, with just one statement we have been able to eliminate two answer choices. So this is pretty easy game, right? Students really find these questions interesting because with eliminations you are able to really reach to the correct answer in a quick way. Let's come to the second statement. Another form of group think occurs when people are either isolated from crucial sources of information or dominated by the members of the group, some of whom may have malevolent intent. This too has been demonstrated in animals. So, something which has been observed, and the basis of the observation, you are making a statement that देखो animals में भी ऐसा observe होता है. So, this is what? This is on the basis of the fact, observation hai, right? You're concluding something on the basis of information provided. So this is a strong what? This is a strong inference statement for us. So if we see that inference is pointed out with this, so the game gets over here itself because then D is also suggesting it to be a fact. This cannot be a fact because they're saying that this is demonstrated in animals too. So this is an observation of a conclusion from the facts that are offered to you. Right, so come to the third statement. So it is very clear that the third statement will be the fact and fourth will be the inference. But since we are doing it as a practice session and we are imbibing the concept, so we would not do it in a hush hush. However, my recommendation in the exam would be that if you're sure of the first two statements, mark and move on. Right, that's how you're utilizing the options given to you. Right, or in case it comes out as type in the answer, then of course you have to navigate through all the options. What do we mean by type in the answers? That you don't have the answer choices, you have to write the answer. So that's what we mean by TETA questions. Animals that live in group make two sort of choices: consensus decisions, in which the group makes a single collective choice, as when hunting rock ants and decide where to settle, and combined decisions such as the allocation of job among worker bees. So again, this is a study, right? So this is again a fact. So we can say that this is a fact. Second statement we identified as an inference. Condorcet's theory describes consensus decisions, outlining how democratic decisions tend to outperform dictatorial ones. So this is what this is. You are observing the certain facts and you are concluding out of the facts. If each member of a jury has only partial information, the majority decision is more likely. So this is a possibility, right? So this cannot be a fact, because if there is a possibility, then that thing can be challenged, right? You understand why it's not a fact, because this is a possibility showing. To be correct, then a decision arrived at an individual juror. So clearly it is what? An inference. So we know how the ideas are floating. So the best choice that we have would be option A. Right. So I hope you really enjoyed solving the question. You've understood how the game is played. Very interesting, very simple. Just you need to be aware that what do we mean by fact, what do we mean by inference, and what do we mean by judgment. So it's time to move to the next question. Simple sentences, quick sentences. Now one we have done together. So you must have gained some momentum. So please try this and then we will discuss it together. I'll give you 1 entire minute to do so. I'm sure you've tried. We can begin with the discussion. So let's see how do we solve this question. Any country that cannot stay ahead of a credited crunched Greece is in deep trouble. So this is an emotional statement, right? It's a judgment. अब आपको लग सकता है कि deep trouble में है, मुझे लग सकता है बीच के trouble में है, somebody can say कि कोई trouble नहीं है. तो ये any country तो एक random सा judgment हमने पास कर दिया, right? तो ये कोई fact नहीं है. Deep trouble क्योंकि आप intensity measure नहीं कर सकते, इस statement को आप verify नहीं कर सकते, definitely is not a fact, right? और अगर आप इसको inference कहोगे तो कोई inference होता है on the basis of certain facts, वो भी नहीं है. So clearly this is a judgment statement. तो ये आप बहुत आसानी से conclude कर लो कि देखो these are quick things that you can actually do. अब based on this आपका गेम ही खत्म हो गया, बिकॉज हमारे पास चॉइस ही एक है जिसमें पहला स्टेटमेंट जजमेंट बता रहे हैं. तो क्लियरली यहाँ पर तो कोई कंफ्यूजन ही नहीं होना चाहिए. यू विल मार्क बी एंड मूव ऑन, राइट. तो देखिए यहाँ एग्जाम में यू हैव टू find ways to save time, right? And these questions actually offer you that. But since we are discussing, it's a practice sort of a thing we are doing and we are polishing our concept. So let's get sorted that how the second statement is a fact and third and fourth statement acts as judgments. So let's read. That triggered a deal of 7.6 million pounds in emergency funding to enable the government to pay its arrears with the International Monetary Fund and its July bill from the European Central Bank. सारी टेक्निकल इंफॉर्मेशन इन फैक्ट है, यानी कि आप इतने अमाउंट को वेरीफाई कर सकते हो. तो डेफिनेटली सेकंड फैक्ट हो गया, राइट. तो आप ये साथ साथ ये भी अंडरस्टैंडिंग आई एम श्योर बिल्ड करते रहे होगे. Any hopes that euro era would be more resilient to the global credit crisis have been firmly dashed. Again, sort of an opinion, right? So it is good to be traced and identified the statement as a judgment. Prudence is not always a virtue. अब ये देखो, ये भी एक ओपिनियन ही है ना. मुझे लग सकता है इट्स ऑलवेज अ वर्च्यू, आपको लग सकता है समटाइम्स इट्स नॉट, इट्स अ वर्च्यू. कोई कह सकता है इट्स नॉट एट ऑल अ वर्च्यू. ऐसा किसी को लगेगा नहीं कि नॉट एट ऑल अ वर्च्यू. द इंस्टिंक्ट टू सेव फॉर रेनी डे सीम्स ओनली टू हार्डन व्हेन द रेन सेट्स इन. सो रेनी डे मतलब हार्ड टाइम या डिफिकल्ट टाइम. ये भी एक जजमेंट है। हमारी दादी नानी कहते नहीं है कि मुश्किलों के लिए पैसा जोड़ के रखना चाहिए, तो एक उनका जजमेंट है, उनका एक ओपिनियन है, राइट। तो फिर हम क्या मार्क कर देंगे, बी को एज अ स्टेटमेंट, आई मीन एज अ करेक्ट combination we will pick this. So it's good to verify simultaneously also. My idea always is that when you're practicing smart work मत करो, हार्ड वर्क कर लो। जब आप एग्जाम में जाओगे तब आप सारा स्मार्ट वर्क कर लेना। ऐसे उल्टा करते हैं, एग्जाम के वक्त तो हमको सारा ही हार्ड वर्क करना होता है, और जो प्रैक्टिस करते हैं तो स्मार्ट वर्क करते हैं। तो डोंट डू इट लाइक दिस, वर्क हार्ड, एक्सप्लोर ऑल द ऑप्शंस, प्ले, अंडरस्टैंड, reason out, so that you are sharpened and you are sorted, right? So let's move to the next question. Again, a minute for you, and then we discuss. Sure, you've tried. We can begin with the discussion. So let's get started. Hot cool yours is one of Russia's slogan for the Olympic Games. Information validate कर सकते हो, verify कर सकते हो, definitely a fact. अब कौन सी choice eliminate हो जाएगी, A और B तो instantaneously आपने outrightly निकाल दी, and सी प्रोसेस ऑफ एलिमिनेशन वर्क सो इफेक्टिवली। तो कभी आप मतलब डोंट वेट फॉर द लास्ट पॉइंट टू एलिमिनेट द इनकरेक्ट चॉइसेस, जितना पैरेलली रीजन आउट करके चॉइसेस को आउट कर सकते हो कर लो। अगर कहीं फिर भी आपको कंफ्यूजन रहता है तो you're not supposed to push yourself too hard that you still have doubt, but just for the sake of eliminating you are doing it, right? For the first time since 1991, global average income per head is falling. Even as growth in emerging market has come to halt, the rich economies look set to shrink. तो look set to shrink. तो आप क्या कर रहे हो, फैक्ट है आपके पास, उसके बेसिस पे आप एक इन्फ्रेंस तक पहुंच रहे हो, राइट। सो दिस इज अ गुड स्टेटमेंट टू बी एन इन्फ्रेंस वन। लुक सेट मतलब ये क्या हो गया, आप ड्रॉ कर रहे हो एक कंक्लूजन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द फैक्ट्स। तो सेकेंड एज एन इन्फ्रेंस, तो क्लियर चॉइसेस है एलिमिनेशन के लिए, तो सी भी आपका निकल गया। फिर अब you know D is the answer, but we will walk through all the steps and be very sure of what we are picking up. Financial markets promised prosperity, instead they have bought hardship. अब ये opinion, right? If you can see, this is an opinion the author is trying to make. So this is a good statement to be termed as a judgment. Now, does the quirkiness of the slogan have something to do with the vagaries of Russian English translation? Yes, partially. Although it sounds equally awkward in Russian and plenty of Russians were thrown for a loop by its announcement, even they have since come to embrace it. तो ये भी एक sort of what हो गया, एक पहले question raise हुआ, उसको define कर रहे हैं, तो ये एक inference टाइप का क्वेश्चन हो गया। यू आर ट्राइंग टू कंक्लूड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द ऑब्जर्वेशन, सो दिस इज अ गुड स्टेटमेंट टू बी कॉल्ड एन इन्फ्रेंस। सो द बेस्ट कॉम्बिनेशन दैट फिट्स इन विल बी डेफिनेटली डी एज द राइट आंसर, right? So I'm sure we are sorted. Let's move to the next question. Let's try this. let's start with the discussion. Many of the varieties of arrogance and know-it-allness are left under the interacting scrutiny of scholars who are encouraged to enlarge their understanding of real problems. अब आप देखो, आप इसको वेरीफाई तो नहीं कर सकते, तो क्लियरली हम ये तो कह ही सकते हैं कि ये फैक्ट नहीं है, राइट? अब अगर फैक्ट नहीं है तो फिर अब क्या हो सकता है, क्योंकि कोई ग्राउंड नहीं है जिसके बेसिस पे आप कंक्लूड कर रहे हो, तो ये गुड पॉसिबिलिटी हो गई कि ये एक जजमेंट स्टेटमेंट है, राइट? तो फैक्ट तो नहीं है, तो हम एक इनिशियल राउंड ऑफ एलिमिनेशन में सी और डी को तो निकाल सकते हैं। अब यहाँ पर चॉइसेस थोड़ी सी क्लोज हो जाती है, तो हम सेकंड स्टेटमेंट को ऑब्जर्व करते हैं, वो तो डेफिनेटली जजमेंट है। तो अब यहाँ पर अगर आप एग्जाम में हो तो बी स्टेटमेंट से आपका कोई वेरिएशन नहीं आएगा, तो बी पे मेहनत मत करना, राइट? एज इट फॉर नाउ वी कैन डेफिनेटली डिस्कस, क्योंकि हम एक कॉन्सेप्ट बिल्डिंग पर काम कर रहे हैं। पर अगर आप एग्जाम में हो तो आपको दोनों चॉइसेस में दिख रहा है कि बी तो जजमेंट ही है, तो इसमें मेहनत करने की जरूरत नहीं है, ये तो वेरीफाइड इन्फॉर्मेशन है। सो डोंट वेस्ट दोस 40 50 60 सेकेंड्स हियर, रादर सी रिमार्केबल डिफरेंस आप थर्ड स्टेटमेंट से बना सकते हो, तो उसको ऑब्जर्व कर लो। बट जस्ट टू गेट श्योर हाउ इट्स अ जजमेंट, वी विल डेफिनेटली वर्क ऑन बी. Several of the patterns of impatience and impulsiveness seem modified. तो seem करने का मतलब कि आप सेंस कर रहे हो एक इमोशन को, अप्रूवल या डिसअप्रूवल की तरफ जा रहे हो। In which each man knows that it is better to be sure than sorry, he opened his mouth too soon. तो ये एक इमोशनल वेंट है, तो जजमेंट स्ट्रॉन्ग है और करेक्ट डिसीजन है। अब थर्ड पर आओ। अर्विंग ली often said that general semantics is not something that happens to you. इट इज समथिंग यू डू, इट्स एन ऑपरेशनल डिसिप्लिन, इज समथिंग यू परफॉर्म। अब एक स्टेटमेंट है ऑथर का, इसको तो आप वेरीफाई कर सकते हो, राइट? अब ध्यान से देखो, मैंने अगर आपको कहा कि महात्मा गांधी ने कहा है कि बी द चेंज यू वांट टू सी इन द वर्ल्ड, इट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल स्टेटमेंट। आप इसको वेरीफाई कर सकते हो, अपने फ्रेंड से पूछ सकते हो, नेबर से पूछ सकते हो, बुक में देख सकते हो, गूगल कर सकते हो। तो फिर ये तो एक ऐसा फैक्ट हो गया जिसको जो जिसको आप प्रूव कर सकते हो, तो फिर ये तो डेफिनेटली फैक्ट है। अब इसी के बेसिस पे आपका डिसीजन आ जाएगा कि बी मेरा आंसर होना चाहिए। अब फिर भी एक बार टू वेरीफाई, हम पता तो चल गया हमें इन्फ्रेंस का, बट स्टिल वी कैन रीड इट थ्रू। सिंस जेन वाज एट द गेम, शी वुड हैव बीन द रन बैक ऑन द ओपनिंग किक ऑफ। तो इस बेसिस के, इस पॉइंट के बेसिस पे आपने एक डिसीजन लिया, तो वो एक इन्फ्रेंस हो जाएगा। सो क्लियरली वी विल पिक बी एज एन आंसर. So I'm sure we are sorted with this question. So time to move to the next one. Please try this. Sure, you've tried. Time to discuss. So let's begin our discussion. Government guarantees at the same time as buying hundreds of millions of rupees worth of bad loans from Dalal Street is difficult politics to say the least. कि अब देखो, ये एक एक्सप्रेशन है, ये एक आउटबर्स्ट है, ये एक इमोशन है। सो दिस इज डेफिनेटली अ जजमेंट, राइट? फैक्ट तो कह ही नहीं सकते आप, टू से द लीस्ट यानी ओपिनियन मैटर कर रहा है, तो फैक्ट ये भी नहीं है और ये भी नहीं है, बी और सी तो आउटराइटली हमने डिस्कार्ड कर दिए, राइट। अब आप सेकंड स्टेटमेंट के बेसिस पे ही क्लैरिटी ले लोगे कि ए और डी से कौन सा बेटर आंसर है, राइट। सो लेट्स रीड the B statement and C. Subject matters were presented simultaneously with audio video stimulus and were instructed to decide whether these stimuli referred to the same object or not. So thus a conclusion indicator होता है. Thus we demonstrate how brain activation for audio visual integration depends on verbal content of the stimuli even when stimuli and task processing differences are controlled. So thus a conclusion draw किया on the previous statement. So this statement is definitely what? An inference. Judgment तो नहीं है क्योंकि आप एक conclusion draw कर रहे हो on the basis of the fact. So clearly A आप as an answer pick कर सकते हो. Exam में इतने quick calls लेना, पर ये तब आप तभी ले सकते हो when you're absolutely sure of the concept that you're doing. So practice a lot before reaching to such quickness and promptness in your answers. So let's read C and verify that how this is an inference again. This instructor will never pass more than 10 people in a mathematics class. The last 4 semesters, the instructor taught modern mathematics. No more than 10 people pass the class. So पहला conclusion आपने second statement के basis पे लिया. तो definitely it is qualifying as an inference. सो एनीवेज थर्ड तो दोनों ने ही ए और डी दोनों ने ही इन्फ्रेंस बोला था. तो लास्ट स्टेटमेंट पढ़ लेते हैं. इन द वर्ड्स ऑफ द राइटर वी आर ट्राइंग टू डेवलप मशीन्स दैट एक्सपोज इंटेलिजेंस बाय ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग sound into text, and there's a detailed sentence, but you know that somebody is stating a fact which can definitely be verified. You can see कि writer ने ऐसा fact कहीं दिया है कि नहीं दिया, तो फिर आप इसको easily judgment fact की category में रख सकते हो. So the combination would be judgment, inference and fact, right? So I hope we are sorted on this question. So the correct answer that we are going to pick up would be A. Right? So it's time to move to the next question. Please take a minute. We have more answer choices becoming slightly tricky. Don't rush. Enjoy the process. We are in the learning mode, and once you attend 1 hour's class, then try questions on your own and see the accuracy levels. As of for now, just enjoy the process and learn the concept. A minute for you to solve the question. We can begin with the discussion now. This does not mean that United States of America should become more bourgeois. So again, an opinion statement, right? So this can be termed as a judgment. So if you look at the answer choices clearly, we have just 2 options with us. So we can definitely eliminate. Inference के लिए कोई logical point नहीं दिया. Fact आप इसको verify कर नहीं सकते. More एक opinion type की thing हो गई जिसको justify नहीं किया जा सकता until there are numbers. Now we'll see the next statement. No one can imagine that peace will come to the Middle East countries without the help of US. Again, it cannot be verified. बेसिस पे कोई ग्राउंड नहीं है जिसके बेसिस पे कंक्लूड कर रहे हो, तो बेस्ट फिट विल बी जजमेंट, राइट. अगेन बी और डी, अभी आप बी को चेक नहीं करोगे एग्जाम में बिकॉज इन बोथ द आंसर चॉइसेस दिस इज शोइंग इट टू बी जे. सो ए सी ई आपने पहले एलिमिनेट कर दिया है और बी दोनों स्टेटमेंट्स दोनों आंसर चॉइसेस में एज अ जजमेंट ही रिफ्लेक्ट हो रहा है. सो यू आर वेस्टिंग योर 1 minute विच इज नॉट अ वाइज थिंग. वी आर डूइंग बिकॉज वी आर लर्निंग, राइट. तो आप भी यू गेट द कॉन्फिडेंस, प्लीज कीप ऑन डूइंग इट. Yet a political leader who understands United States of America is not the uncontested, matlab somebody who can't be challenged, hyper power of the 1990s. A leader who values soft power more than the hard vision will bring a change for the better. फिर भी ये देखो एक opinion ही express हुआ है. So again, this is better to be called a judgment than an inference. So then we can pick B as an answer. But since you are like in a learning mode, so we will check D and verify again it to be a judgment. An America led by such a man will listen more carefully. देखो एक तरह का opinion ही दे रहा है. And work more closely with allies and rivals, will strive harder to respect the laws it has signed up, and might enter into new commitments, for instance to tackle climate change. So again, this is a judgment, so clearly we can go and mark B as an answer, right? So don't get nervous. At times students get nervous कि सारे judgments आ गए, am I doing anything wrong? ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता, बिल्कुल हो सकता है. So there can be some instances where you just get A answer choices in 4 of the questions repeatedly. These are tricks to put you down. So don't get bothered. Be sure of what you are doing, be sure of what you have practiced, and be very wise while you are doing eliminations, right? So I'm sure we are sorted on this questions. Time to move to the next one. Please try this. Sure you've tried this. So let's do this interesting question and find out what will work best as an answer. Given the poor quality of service in the public sector, the human immunodeficiency virus affected should be switching to private initiatives that supply antiretroviral drugs at a low cost. तो ऐसा करना चाहिए. ये क्या हो गया, एक ओपिनियन हो गया, राइट? तो अब आप देखो, ओपिनियन है तो जजमेंट होगा ए स्टेटमेंट, यानी कि आप क्लियरली सी और डी को एलिमिनेट कर सकते हो. अब हमारे पास दो आंसर चॉइसेस है जिसके बेसिस पे हमें करेक्ट आंसर को पिक करना है, एक को एलिमिनेट करना है. Since 2004, the government has been supplying free drugs and many have been benefited as per the reports. तो देखो, ये जितना ड्रग हो रहा है ये वेरीफाई कर सकते हो, और बेनिफिटेड है वो भी वेरीफाई कर सकते हो, यानी कि इस इंफॉर्मेशन को आप चेक कर सकते हो. तो फिर अगर आप चेक कर सकते हो तो डेफिनेटली ये क्या है, फिर एक फैक्ट है, राइट? तो ये हमारा फैक्ट हो गया, यानी कि अब हमारी ये चॉइस भी एलिमिनेट हो जाती है. सो यू नो व्हाट द करेक्ट आंसर विल बी. But again, like I say, for the sake of revision, for the sake of practice, for sake of absorbing the concept, please explore all the options. ये आपको फाइनल एग्जाम में टैक्टिक या मॉक्स में टैक्टिक अप्लाई करनी है जहाँ पे टाइम सेविंग का प्रेशर है, जहाँ पे आप इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ लर्निंग हो, वहाँ शॉर्टकट्स मत लो, राइट? Initiatives like AIDS Care Network would lead to availability of such rare and needed drugs. अब यानी कि ये इसके बेसिस पे आप एक कंक्लूजन ड्रॉ कर रहे हो, तो डेफिनेटली एक इन्फ्रेंस हो गया. But how ironic is that we should face a perennial is continuous, never ending, right? जैसे sun is a perennial source of energy, never ending है. When India is one of the largest suppliers of generic drugs to the developing world. तो ये देखिए largest supplier, यहाँ तक आप इसको fact बोल सकते थे, but how ironic is that we are facing a shortage. तो यहाँ पे एक opinion driven statement हो गया, इसलिए this will more fit in to be a judgment statement. Hence we are going to mark A as our final answer, right? So I hope we are sorted with this question. We are able to identify that the first statement acts as a judgment, second will be a fact, third will be an inference, and fourth will be a judgment, right? So time to move to question number 8. Again, take a minute, try this, and then we get into the discussion. I'm sure you've tried the question, right? And you're getting into the rhythm, you're understanding the nuances, you're understanding how to identify a fact, opinion, and a judgment. So let's try and solve question number 8. We should not get idiotic. ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए, तो मेरा opinion है ना, right? To the flawed belief that corruption in India is caused by the dishonesty of Indians, right? So this is driven by my emotion. I am feeling like this. तो opinion है, right? आप इसको verify तो कर नहीं सकते. तो इन चारों choices ने इसको judgment बोला. तो अगर आप आंसर देख लेते तो आपको पता चल जाता है कि ये judgment ही है. It is, I mean, then in that case we're still saving time with one of the sentences, right? Anyways, be sure that you are checking all the options. The fact is that the fact तो मतलब easy to identify हो गया कि ये तो fact ही है. India is surrounded by red tapeism. It takes 89 days. तो numerical information आप verify कर सकते हो इसको. Australia it takes only 2 days. So it's a fact. The statement itself is suggesting that it is a fact. So now this is the only choice that can be discarded. We have a lot of options saying it as a fact, so we can keep A, B, and D in that case. This leads to corruption and falsify people's character. This what is it leading to? अब हमारे पास basis तो है नहीं जिसके basis पे आपने conclusion बोला, fact तो है नहीं, यानी ये भी एक judgment statement हो गया, right? तो यानी कि यहाँ से आप answer तक पहुंच गए हो, but still to be sure that you're picking up the right answer and sorting the concepts rightly, we can take a look at D. The red tape procedure, this does, again you can see it's a conclusion that you're trying to draw. तो ये conclusion draw कर रहे हो तो inference हो जाएगा. Thus involves contact with officials which leads to bribery and corruption. So definitely we can call it to be an inference statement. So D will be the right answer, right? So I'm sure you are getting the nuances, you are getting to understand how the game is played, which is very very important, right? अगर आप सिर्फ superficially initial time पे practice करोगे या सिर्फ I mean you will just not dig into all the statements, then it would be a little incorrect thing to do. आप करो, बिल्कुल ऐसा करो, इसलिए ही आपको बताया जा रहा है ऐसा करना. But again reinstating the idea that this should be done when you are very very sharp with your concepts and you have the confidence, and that eventually comes when you have given it a good try, right? You have given it a good practice. So leave this option digging wala part for mocks and for final exam. And while you are practicing, practice in detail. It will sharpen your understanding, will bring more focus and fundamental clarity, right? So it's time to move to the next question. Please try this. Slightly lengthy sentences, so I'll give you slightly more time. Sort it out and then we discuss. The 30 seconds and we start with the discussion. Begin. Lumbering our way through the task of living as so much of our day-to-day focus seems to be on getting things done. It can feel like a treadmill that gets you nowhere, whereas the childlike joy. So lumbering is moving your thoughts, right? तो क्लियरली जैसा स्टेटमेंट फ्रेम्ड है एक इमोशनल आउटबर्स्ट सॉर्ट ऑफ है तो जजमेंट ही है ओपिनियन भी है राइट तो ये तो बहुत क्लियर आइडेंटिफिकेशन है फैक्ट तो है ही नहीं देखो राइट और ऑप्शन भी नहीं दिया इन्फ्रेंस भी नहीं है क्योंकि आप तो एक इमोशनल आउटबर्स्ट कर रहे हो तो ए और बी को आप डिस्कार्ड कर सकते हो राइट अब हमारे पास दो आंसर चॉइसेस हैं तो सेकंड के बेसिस पे ही क्लियरली आप आंसर तक पहुंच जाओगे बट लाइक आई सेड कि सीखो राइट we are not doing the things that make us happy that's which brings us joy the things that we can't wait to do because we enjoy them so much क्लियरली इमोशनल आउटबर्स्ट है तो जजमेंट ही है क्योंकि कोई 10 जैसा कंक्लूजन इंडिकेटर भी नहीं आया और कोई फैक्ट भी नहीं है जिसके बेसिस पे आप ये किसी कंक्लूजन तक पहुंच रहे हो तो क्लियरली मतलब फैक्ट तो है ही नहीं तो इसी के बेसिस पे आप डी तक पहुंच जाओगे राइट फैक्ट तो है ही नहीं वेरीफाई कर ही नहीं सकते आप इसको राइट किसी का इमोशनल या मेंटल स्टेट मेंटल वेलबींग या थॉट प्रोसेस आप कैसे वेरीफाई कर सकते हो नहीं कर सकते राइट देयर इज नो मैकेनिज्म this is the stuff I mean, so clearly we are just trying to validate that C and D are also acting as judgment statements this is that stuff that joyful living is made of identifying your calling and committing yourself wholeheartedly to it beautiful statements right so at times when we solve questions the statements come out which are so beautiful so again an opinion this is how people feel this is how people who say that manifestation happens of what you are thinking or people who who are coaching that thought really comes through this. When this happens, each moment becomes a celebration of you. There is a rush of energy that comes with feeling completely immersed in doing what you love the most. Again, judgment. So, all the statements have been really, really beautiful and I really enjoyed reading them. I hope you did also. And yes, the correct answer is definitely D. All the statements were opinion statements, right? So let's come to this question. This is the last one of the discussion. So yeah, we will do it with all our focus and try to get this entirely right. So give it a shot and then we discuss. Let's discuss this particular question. According to all statistical indications, the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act has managed to keep pace with its ambitious goals. So you are drawing this conclusion on the basis of statistical indications. So definitely it's an inference. Judgment तो नहीं है क्योंकि conclude कर सकते हो आप इसको fact का option ही नहीं given है तो हम A, D और A, C, D इन तीन choices को रख सकते हैं. Right, coming to the next one. The scheme has been a significant incentive for the poor for providing employment to them. ये opinion है तो definitely इसको आप क्या करोगे कि कहोगे भाई ये तो judgment है राइट। तो यानी कि आप जजमेंट कहाँ बोला इसने, इसमें भी इन्फ्रेंस बोला है तो जजमेंट है, राइट। तो ए गोज आउट, इसको रख सकते हो आप। बी आपने पहले ही डिस्कार्ड कर लिया, तो सी और डी, अब हमारे पास दो ऑप्शंस बचे। थर्ड दोनों चॉइसेस ही कहती है फैक्ट्स है, तो इस पे आप एग्जाम में टाइम मत खराब करना। अभी यू कैन रीड ओनली अबाउट 13 मिलियन गॉट एम्प्लॉयड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट, तो इन्फॉर्मेशन वैलिडेट की जा सकती है, तो डेफिनेटली फैक्ट है। अब आप लास्ट पे आओ, द गोल ऑफ इक्वल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ इनकम हैज टू बी प्री रिक्विजिट फॉर द इवोल्यूशन एंड डेवलपमेंट ऑफ आवर कंट्री। तो देखो जब हम प्री रिक्विजिट की बात करते हैं या हैज टू बी, तो स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेटमेंट है, इमोशनल स्टेटमेंट है, तो यानी कि ये भी डेफिनेटली जजमेंट है। तो आप क्लियरली सी को करेक्ट आंसर मार्क करोगे, राइट। So this brings us to the end of the discussion. I hope you really enjoyed solving the questions. Puri exercise, we've done actually an entire worksheet, and we had some great and tricky questions. So I'm sure your concepts are sorted. So do practice and use the elimination tactics. But while you are solving to absorb the concept, get into the details, right? So thank you so much for watching the video. Please help us spread the word. Take good care of yourself. All the best.